know we got
It looks to me like Pete, and then there's 3 other numbers there that I don't recognize.
Well, Barbara Bean's on there. She announced
Okay.
herself.
This is Cynthia. I'm on.
Cynthia, you're there?
Okay.
Gary?
Yes, I'm on.
Right.
Cynthia
So it's
and
1, 2,
Barbara
3.
Bean. I'm not sure who else might be on
Looks
there.
like
I must
3.
be somebody else.
Okay, 12:30. Call the meeting of the foundation to order. It looks like there are 3 of you on the call. I have Barbara Bean, Cynthia Gary, and Pete Holloway. Are there any other people that are on any other form? All right, and present here, we have Linda Goldberg and Carol Rotruck and Brian Gallagher and Bill File and myself. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a quorum, so we can proceed. First order of business will be Butch and the financial report. Do we have any?
Did you want to approve the minutes first from the last meeting?
That's on the agenda.
Shall we? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll move we approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Second.
You've had those in your papers. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same
Aye.
Okay, now we're ready.
Yes.
If you would take a look in your packet at the financial report, Tammy Treadway has put that together, and those of you who were here earlier, and I think everybody that's here heard this earlier, Tammy is in Washington right now, working on training and getting new information on the CPB grant process. So if you would take a look at that, it's updated from March 30th the last time, and I would encourage you to review that, and if you have questions, Tammy will be glad to take a look and answer. If you have any other general questions, I'm glad to do that. She's going to be able to provide you with more of the detail if you have something specific.
So I was wondering about the status of the revenue for the grant revenue. Last year was a down year for grants, but we're a third of the way through the year, and I'm just not sure if our grants are going to catch up to the year end of 21 or the year end of 22.
Well, I and Linda, what I would like to do is have Tammy address that, and maybe, can we get her on the phone? Can we go ahead and try and get Tammy on the phone? Eddie, do you?
She may be in a meeting if she finishes training.
Okay, so she is unavailable. I'll get that answer for you, Linda, and get a complete update on where the actual.
Right.
I mean, I know that the MACP is figured into that, but I'll have to get the exact detail on it for you because I do not have the.
We'll also ask her about the personnel stuff, contractual and professional expenses.
Well, now I can explain that to you.
Okay, good.
Okay. We've had, as you know, we've had a number of people turnover that's been involved, and during that interim time, we use contract people to fill in some of those voids rather than coming out of the general staff funding. So that's why you see the difference in that right now.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? And again, get back for information from Tammy.
And I will have her get you the information.
Just reassure me that the grants will be coming in.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a motion to accept the finances?
So moved.
Financial report? Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, Butch. Let's go through some of the committee reports. Barbara, or do you have any?
Well, I do. Linda Goldberg's term has expired, but she is willing to accept a new 4-year term. So I would like to nominate Linda Goldberg for a new 4-year term on the foundation board.
Is that the extent of your report?
Right, and then you need a second and we vote.
I realize that, but I wanted to put it
But I do have one other thing after we vote, one
Okay,
other
all
thing to
right.
say.
Without asking Linda to leave the room, do we give her 4 more years? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Same. I believe that was moved by Bill File and seconded by Carol.
Actually, I think it was moved by
Barbara
Barbara
moved it.
and seconded by Bill.
Barbara moved, Bill seconded.
I'm losing all control.
Did you ask if there
All
were,
those in
Okay.
favor? I didn't ask you to leave the room.
did you ask if there were any nays?
Pardon me?
Did you ask if there were any nays?
Are there any nays? Chair hearing none, so ordered. All right. Yes, Barb.
I also wanted to mention that on the master list that you got of the foundation members, Leslie Nutting was left off that she's an at-large member. She's listed as the treasurer, which she is, but she's also at-large.
Leslie,
So if you'll just add that on your copy. And one more comment, the bylaws allow 4 representatives from the EBA, and at the moment we have only 3, Mike, Bill, and Carol. So Bill and Ted, if there is someone else on the EBA that would like, or you would like to serve on the foundation board, feel free to appoint a 4th representative, because that's how the bylaws read.
We'll do
And
that
that's
after the next meeting.
Bill will look into that. Thank you.
Okay, and that's the end of my report.
She said that was the end of her.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Barbara.
You're welcome.
Bill, I hate to call upon you again, but you have an opportunity to give the legal report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is no legal report.
Scratch that off.
So we don't have any expenses to approve. And investment, Marilyn.
The investment committee met yesterday with Ed Armbrecht, Bill Fowle, Pete Holloway, Butch Angelini, Marilyn DeVita, and Rucker Alexander. Rucker reviewed and talked about the vulnerability of the market. Both Rucker, I don't mean to laugh. Forget me, both Rucker and Pete heard about the headwinds facing market. Inflation, global economy, the Ukraine-Russia war, and the pandemic have affected and continue to affect the market. With past market performance, we had rebalanced our portfolio percentage to 70-30, equity 6 and 8. The committee considered a proposal to take $300,000 from the S&P 500 Index Fund to achieve another rebalance, since we have the largest stake of our fund in that fund. Discussion was held on alternatives, and I think that's what you came in on.
Ask the deciding vote.
That's right. The committee agreed on a compromise of taking $200,000 from the S&P fund, $100,000 each from TV and radio. Bill moved that we do so, and Pete provided a second. The money will stay in short-term laddered CDs until needed by the EBA. This will bring our portfolio mix to approximately 65 to 35 equity versus 6. Committee will monitor the funds monthly and meet again August 31st to take any necessary action. Meeting adjourned.
Any questions or comments?
I would have thought stocks are on sale, so.
Pardon me?
I would have thought stocks are on sale, so it's a good time to buy.
Steve hopped up.
Steve Hopper, thank you. Welcome.
Is now joining.
Good afternoon. Had a tough time getting up from the beach, but I made it.
Rough life.
You know, I think the part of the problem is there's like air conditioning or something
there's
making
a
a lot of noise that,
There's a
Hard to-
ventilation issue here.
And I've got very old ears, so.
well, it's hard for everybody, even old ears. Oh, we're all old, sorry.
So are there any comments on that, or any words of wisdom?
I have no
I would
wisdom.
move to accept the financial committee's report.
I'll second to that. I'll second. Okay. We were right about where our indexes are, about minus 16%. So that's that's be commended, but I'd like to be farther below, of course. Any further comments on the finance or on the investment? Okay. I don't know that we have, do we have to vote on that, Mr. We really don't. We really don't. Thank you. All right. Butch, give us a rundown.
I would like to give you an update, but prior to that, I think what I'd like to go ahead and do is Murrow Valdez is with us. And, Mr. Chairman, you had asked, Americo to give us a little more detailed report on, our, MACP, the Cargill Philanthropies Project. And, as you know, last week during a meeting with the folks from MACP, you were involved in, Americo gave a brief PowerPoint presentation. So, Americo, if you would come up and step through the presentation on where we are with the project at this time, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. Be loud and clear.
Okay. Just for reference, this data is about a week old, so not much has changed except for some productions that have come. So, can I have the next slide, please? All right, so this is covering everything from that started in April through the end of June. We've had 3 new reporters who have joined Folkways. 2 will publish their first ever radio stories, which was today, well, last week, something with YouTube and Barn Hills in West North Carolina. That brings us to a total of 25 stories that will be published this month. And also happy to say that we had our kickoff meeting with Mesh Studios, who's providing marketing services, and I will go into more detail a few slides, but I want to make it clear that it's a very cross-functional team effort, input from many people who are sitting in this room. But I just want to give an overview of where we're going with that. Next slide. So since April, we've had 14 or currently live. I had a request that we could listen to or view one of these, but I'm going to forego that due to technical and audio quality issues. So I'm happy to share this list with the board offline after the meeting. And next slide, please. We will have 11 stories publishing by the end of this month. Next slide. Okay, so digging into our performance metrics, I really want to start looking at, what we're putting out there to the public and exactly how it's performing, and really to take a look at the audience behavior and really exploit that, because we have a lot of really good stories to tell here. And the first one being, which I brought up in my last chat with you, is we had a 187% increase of podcast downloads per month from January 2021 to January 2022, 7,000 per month. And that is organic downloads, as I understand. And I want to maybe dig a little bit deeper for our next meeting to see where we can find opportunities in that incredible 187% lift there. Our WVPB app, inside Appalachia, has held number 4 selected of our on-demand program, and that's out of 53 programs we have scheduled during the days. This is just a little bit of social media activity, a little bit of background on Facebook. The audiogram is a short snippet, but I want you to know it's about a 30-second long snippet, and we are, getting about 15-second views on those, which is half of the video. It's another good reception, I would say. We probably have to look at how we're publishing this type of content in Facebook and, on Twitter as well. For the last 20 days, we got 12,100 impressions, all organic on Twitter. So when I say organic, that means we're not paying for this. Of course, we have production costs, and we have the cost to us to actually create this content, but it's out there, it is getting traction, people are interested in it, so we have to look at what's working there. Next slide. And of course, last week we start our agreement, our kickoff with Studio Mesh, who is providing marketing services for us, and they have a very aggressive schedule for us to have this project delivered by the end of this month, and there's a lot of moving parts to this, and a lot of people internally are contributing to this. I am really just here to provide an overview and what we're going to get out of this investment into Folkways. Beginning with a brand marketing strategy, how we're positioning ourselves to our audience, to make Folkways distinct and recognizable. And what we are going to get out of this is a branding strategy and a sort of graphic standards and brand guideline book, which will inform pretty much the look and feel of how we are presenting to the public. And that, this investment has great longevity to it with a 2.5-year marketing plan with a communication strategy. So I think it's a great investment, and the amount of time that will be spent on this is really going to have great return for us. That's a brand marketing aspect of this. We have 2 more slides to go.
Is the Mesh group, are they local, regional, where?
Yes, they are
Local?
and this is all under the grant funding from MACP. They're paying for the program, and they've approved it every step of the way. And last week, America's given you the report that was given last week to MACP, and I think that, Carol, you might have heard earlier today from the chairman that they were extremely excited about the progress that's being made on the MACP.
You said earlier that they were surprised how much America had done in a short time.
That's correct. grab the bull by the horns and take it on.
Okay, so next slide, please. For our content strategy piece of this, to create a tactical implementation framework for communication implementation and distribution based on the strategy and brand development. So that is basically creating our strategy for how we're going to get to the public with this. To be determined is going to involve some focus group research, of course, working with our reporters to develop schedules and expand our social media presence. Really good takeaway from this is that we will actually develop a social media content calendar so that we can know when we're going to be pushing content out there and then, measure how that works and, of course, report back to you folks. Next slide. And our design strategy is very much look and feel of Folkwave and creating that brand, making it distinct. So we'll get 2 to 3 design directions and revisions. So that's, again, a really aggressive schedule to be having 2 to 3 different looks for Folkwave. And so that will include our graphics, templates for each story, photography, and, this is even just some feedback from reporters in the field, a distinguishable logo that we can place on the microphone or, for other things that people will be seeing in the field, make them distinguish as a Folkwave project. Of course, that is going to also look at our presence on the website, distinguishing Folkwave as, separate but equal to the Inside Out programming. That's pretty much an overview of what we're getting into with Mesh. Again, a very collaborative project from many different parts of the organization. And I think the last 2 slides are really getting into potential spends. At the next slide. We are looking at, resurrecting this idea of having a retreat that was scheduled to be in Tennessee to kind of get everybody back together. And I understand that a couple of things prevented us from making that a reality. So Butch and I are looking at maybe doing this in 3 separate retreats that will be more accessible to reporters in the field. That's still to be determined what we're going to do with that. But the idea is to have this budgeted by the end of this month to close out this part of the grant. And I believe the last slide was just an example of some other spends that we really haven't agreed on, whether or not we're going to move forward with them. This is just creating some handout materials, T-shirts and stickers that we can distribute to gain to have recognition of Folkwaves. And we can also extend that as well with paid media spends, and that can range anywhere from $200 to $1,000 a week. So that is pretty much where we are with Folkwaves as of last week, as of now. So we got a lot of things going on, and also like to establish a lot of benchmark metrics that I'll be reporting back every time we meet, see where we're doing well and where we might need to improve and where we can exploit.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
I have a few questions. This last slide, this is the first question I want to ask about. Is any of this going to be used for the marketing program we were talking about going to all these fairs and festivals?
It could be, yes.
So I would recommend getting involved with that, because I think a lot of people don't know what they don't know.
Can you speak up a little?
The other question, the other series of questions I have, and I may not understand this, but was the Facebook and the Twitter results. Those didn't look very positive to me. 1,700 hits, 15 up 30, 230 were 15 seconds or longer, and the average time was 5 seconds.
Well, think about it.
What do we learn from that?
If this was a 1 hour production, that would mean our audience is engaged for 30 minutes of that production. And when you're looking at micro blogging, a micro video type of posting, 30 seconds, it sounds awful, but it's actually pretty good. That's the attention span that we're talking about in that space.
Okay.
So I have a question. Tote bags have
Linda, can
recently,
you speak?
so tote bags have recently come under scrutiny that you would have to use a tote bag, and like until the year 2150.
Yeah.
1,000 times a week to make up for the resources used to make it. Are the tote bags really necessary? I realize they are a small component of that total, but
Kind of hard to separate public broadcasting from tote bags.
I know.
I mean, it's been happening since
But
1970,
now that we know the resource cost of those tote bags, and we all have 20 or 30 already.
Plastic bags at Kroger's.
I'm sure there's ways that we can adjust that to be more responsible. Again, this is not a spend. This is really a projection of what we could spend.
Right.
So,
I'm just throwing out that comment. And Ted, to your point, there are some states that ban plastic bags.
I'm sorry.
There are some states that ban plastic bags.
Oh, I know.
South Carolina, Massachusetts.
Well, when 49 of them have done it, West Virginia will probably consider it. That's not a political statement. Are there any other questions?
Now,
All right.
what's a week-paced mural that costs $5,000? I don't even know what that is.
I actually had to look that up myself, and it's again not something we are committed to spending on, but this is very much what you would see at art installations. I guess I would call it an edgier version of a poster. They're saying it was an alternative to a billboard. So this is
Not permanent?
sorry.
Is it not permanent?
I would, if it would be portable.
Okay. If I may, for saying, a week-based mural is something you put on the side of a wall
Yeah.
with a photo, a poster, but no, it's not a permanent installation. It's a temporary, it's almost like a, I just lost the word, but a painting on the side of a building, or I mean, yeah.
Street art.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's street art,
It's
exactly.
portable street art.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you use?
Well, anywhere that we're having a presence, really, if we're going to set up.
Usually they would, the architecture in a city or town, there's blank types of buildings that they would use it with permission, of course.
Right.
And then remove it. Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
If you're familiar with Vansky, it kind of looked like what, kind of looked like his type of art.
But I think
Portable,
it
not
would
permanent.
It would cost more. If you could find.
Any other questions? Let me, excuse me.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding. You have one for that amount of money?
Yeah, that,
So presume we're gonna do a slide campaign, how do you build, we have one of these that you put it on? Or,
well, I think what you've got there is I mean, that's an idea of some ways that budget can be spent. And I think the other thing that we need to, that should be emphasized here, we have a budget from Folkways, this is what it's being called, lack of a better vernacular, 1.0, which is the grant program that was initially authorized by MACP. And where we are at this juncture is we're into the final spend down on that program, which wraps up on June the 30th. And this is some of the things these are some of the things that were put out there to help with that spend down. This can be expanded upon greatly as Folkways 2.0, which has already started, but it's for the next 2.5 years. So what you're looking at right there is just, I don't know that generic is the best word, but it's a preliminary plan to help spend down some of that grant funding that was out there. So it could clearly be expanded into other areas when you start clearly talking about those murals in particular. Yeah.
Take it with us, we drop it off in one location, and we take photos in front of it, and it stays there for a time, goes somewhere else. People, when they go out, they want to find a mural, they go and take their photos for the very.
Yeah.
And if we can attract ourselves to the mural, that would be very good social media.
And I think the other thing everybody needs to remember about Folkways, it's not just a West Virginia project. It's a regional project across Appalachia, and we are in other states and other locations with it. So, again, it got to the point where it was a spend down issue. That's why that was difficult.
Any other questions? Let me do a little bit of filling in. You know, the foundation is a sign-off organization. So that's why we have, from the start, had an involvement. That involvement, includes regional conversations with Nina. Nina is the Cargill representative. As I've said before this group many times, I've never participated with them. Cares more about what the money's going to be used for, that it is used for that, and what the product is. And we have always had a good report back from Nina on that. I will say on this last call, which was primarily from Nina's standpoint, to get to know Murrow and see what's the next look as which says we're moving into another funding cycle. Also, we're moving into another management cycle. The product that you saw today, we saw in the course of the meeting with Nina. She saw pretty much for the first time. Subsequent conversations, emails from her, she was very, very impressed, to the extent that they, of course, are in the next, I believe, 800 is the one we're on. So we want that to be 5 million. We want that to keep on growing, and we have an assurance from her that if everything keeps going, our current $1.5 million or $1.6 million may be just the beginning. In the discussion with her too, we've called this Folkways. I think if we took a survey, you all, the foundation, there's not going to be real clear in our minds what this is. When we're listening to the radio, when are we listening to some of these products? So, talking to Nina about it and America, for the first time, to my knowledge, And I talked to Nina about how can we bring Cargill into this. We're proud of that name. They say they're proud of the product. So for the first time, she agreed to allow us to say, as we wish, the timing brought to you with a grant from the Mary R. We call it MACP, but that's an awful name, in my opinion, to try and the Cargill name is national, and that gives us some greater credibility. So she agreed to allow us to do this. We've asked America to come up with what is this? How do we promote it? When do we promote it? What's the language and so forth? Review that with Christie, and of course, get Butch's approval on it, and come up with a proposal back to Nina, which she will then approve. So we should be in the future to a higher level of recognition on this. That might try and up some of our recognition. So we thank Murrow getting off running at the beginning, and particularly pleased with Nina's acceptance of where we're going. Are there any more questions on this or comments? Anybody? Can you all on the Zoom hear clearly? I see you. Only Pete. Good. All right.
I'm here. Steve Hopkins.
But I've long, having been in the retail business for a long time, I've long have a feeling that he that tooteth not his own horn, it tooteth notteth getteth. I think that's what we're going to move into.
How do you spell that?
Pardon me?
How do you spell it?
What does that mean?
It's like your tooth.
Okay.
But that's what we're moving on. So everybody understands what it is. When you say what the program is it folkways? Is that the umbrella that covers the whole? Right. It's folkways.
So I have a question, because every time we have a review from Mountain Stage, they tell me how many stations they're on. How many stations, do we know how many stations we're on, Folkways project, or is it all, I mean, I know, I hear it on ours, but, do we have that in?
It's all used as part of Inside Appalachia. So when you talk about folkways, and I think one of the big things that, and this is the broader picture, is we don't do a good job of telling people what we did. But I think that the understanding of folkways out there needs to be this, that folkways is really a program that is a training ground for reporters across Appalachia. That's what this program's all about, and that's what we're doing. And yes, we're out there producing the programming. It's being used as a part of Inside Appalachia. But Eddie, do you have that?
We are currently carried on 13 stations throughout Appalachia, and we're hoping for that specifically. The grant's going to help us send somebody to, you've heard Adam about it, the directors coming up for us. And while we push mountains, we're going to push this.
Thank you.
Eddie, before you sit down, 13 stages throughout Appalachia, how many are in West Virginia?
Depending on public broadcasting station.
But it's all of ours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're a simulcast.
Right. And when you say it's all of ours.
All of ours
different-
plus 13 outside
Right.
of what's in it.
Right.
Good job.
Yeah.
All right?
And also, she reminded me, we provide curriculum with this space project to all educators, and that goes beyond Appalachia. And we finished the first of that project earlier, and we're starting to work on the second round of it.
Can we advertise that? Educators, so educators have access to.
And we hope that we'll get the ability at the next program, at our next meeting, to show some examples of this, so we'll continue to get educated. Anything more on this? Thank you, sir. Thank you, and thank you, Butch, for your day-to-day involvement. It's very important.
Well, I think as we grow the program, I don't want to belabor the point or extend it out, but I think it's important to talk about, when you talk about folkways and we talk about these reporters that are hired on a contract basis that we do out there, one of the problems that I see with the program and that we need to resolve is there's not an urgency to produce these pieces. We could be telling so many more stories. And our folkways reporters can be telling so many more stories. They need to be prodded a little bit. There's no sense of a deadline, and while we want the stories to be complete and as informative as possible, we've got to emphasize the point that we need to have a deadline, because we could be tripling the number of stories that you hear, and I think at the end of the day, that's the goal as far as I'm concerned. When he talks about, you saw the slides 14 and 11 and 25, well, 25 stories is a lot in my book, okay? There should be 75, and that's one of those things that our new Folkways coordinator, along with America, will be able to do. So we've got some goals out there, and once we find that right coordinator to work with America, I think you're going to see what takes place with Folkways is going to be much more dramatic than we've seen so far.
But we second your motion, assume by the next program, solve that problem.
Well, I'm going to work on it as hard as I can. Trust me.
Question on that. Is there enough money to be able to do that?
Absolutely, there's enough money. That's not the issue. And that's the big thing about the grant program. It's about getting those people in place and getting them organized and getting them to produce the content. Yes, sir.
That's great.
Yes,
So
sir.
they pay by the story?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So you would think,
They're more motivated.
you would think that would provide motivation. Not true. That's what we found so far, but I think that, like I say, the right person to coordinate with America, and we're going to find that person. You're going to see it. And our news director's back there. He's got a big grin on his face because he hears it from me all the time about the number of stories. It's not just the number of stories that Folkway produces. It's the number of stories that are being produced here at West Virginia Public Broadcasting. So,
Pay him 3 times as much.
yeah, there you go. Motivation.
So, very good. Congratulate you. Keep up the good work. Butch, do you have anything else?
Yeah, and I know that, what I'd like to say, and I know that was discussed a little bit earlier in between our break. I know that Bill File and I had chatted about it. For those members that are here in the room, you got to hear the detailed department director from everyone, and I think that as we move forward in the future, I would like to see us come up with a better way to involve the foundation board. So, and I look around this room, and I'm ready to have everyone chat once again, like they did this morning, but some way as we move forward with future meetings, to have that done just one time during the day instead of 2 times during the day. I would love to see that take place.
I think you would find it.
That's great.
Let's discuss that before our next meeting.
And I agree with that. So what I would like to do, for the benefit of our members that are on the line, is go around the room to my department heads, and they know the routine. I do want to introduce you to some new employees that we have here since the last time we met, and they're going to give you brief summaries of their departments and what's taking place here now. So I'll start off with Tyler Garner, who is our new chief engineer. He's been with us about 3 weeks. And, Tyler, if you would go ahead and give the folks a quick review of the department and what's taking place.
Yeah,
And answer any questions they may have.
Can you all see or hear who are on the screen? We see you kind of blinking, but can you hear us? Everybody in agreement? Are you all still there?
Yes, I can hear you. This is Barbara.
Yes,
Go
I
ahead.
can hear you. This is Cynthia.
Okay, good. Well, whatever's
Yeah,
necessary to make
Come on,
that function.
come on in and grab that seat right there where Mr. File was.
All right, can y'all hear me, all right there on the phone?
Yes.
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 Well, it's good to be back in front of some of you again, as we talked earlier this morning. As Bush said, I've been here for about 3 weeks, drinking from a fire hose, it would seem like, which is fun. I enjoy this kind of stuff. We have a great team here. We are slightly understaffed as of right now, and so we are looking to bring on some more people, bolster the department, and fix the infrastructure that keeps the station operational, whether that's building, IT, or engineering. Many of our sites are in dire need of love, whether that's trying to even get to the site, or whether that's the building itself that houses the thousands of dollars worth of equipment. We've also had issues with thieves deciding that they like the copper at our site more than copper at other people's sites. So we're going to do our best to encourage them to go somewhere else, might be the best way to put it, and lock those sites down, add security, and try to catch these guys in the act as well. Safety and health is primary for me with my team, and so I know you guys have already talked about training, but we're looking to add some safety training and RF training to some of our newcomers and even some of the veterans here in the department. So we have a lot of work to do. A lot of guys are excited to do the work now that we have the funding, and so as soon as I have my budget within the next couple weeks, we will be full steam ahead, and looking forward to getting us fully operational. So, if that's a...
Does anyone have any questions for Tyler? Thank you very much, sir. Christy Morey, would you please come up and go ahead and take that seat? It seems like it's a good spot. And Christy has also been with us about 3 weeks. She's our new marketing director, and she's hit the ground running. And Christy, if you would give us an update, please.
Sure. So those of you who spoke to earlier, sorry for the repeat, but I've been on board since May 9th, and in the role of marketing and communications manager. I think we established from the start that we've all been going through the pandemic, and so we've really been out of view, out of sight for our constituents, our listeners, our viewers, and so we made it a primary goal to set in motion a event schedule to really take us around the state and put us out in front of the folks who know and love us, and then also introduce the product to a new group of folks. And so that's primarily what I've been working on. Also, just working on an alignment with our education team, our underwriting team, as well as working with Murrow and the learning more about the Folkways project. So how we can best align our marketing efforts and then all work together. So supporting all of those teams internally as well. So we will be producing a calendar of events, and we'll be sharing it with the foundation and the Friends board. So hopefully you'll be able to find us around the state, be able to stop by and say hi. We just recently completed 2 events. We had a Downton Abbey viewing for the new movie. So we did that in Barboursville and Bridgeport, and that was set up by Eddie. But we had a wonderful reception, and so, got to see and thank a lot of folks for their continued support. And then we attended the Vandalia Gathering, which is an annual event that's on the Capitol grounds. So we were there for 2 days and worked hand in glove with the Culture Center staff, and we had a wonderful turnout. And Eddie will probably tell you about an interaction he had with a young listener. But again, I think a lot of times we want to categorize our listeners and viewers as maybe just that older generation. But what we learned is that there are a lot of folks in their 20s and 30s who love and embrace public broadcasting. And so we've got a lot of work to do, but look forward to meeting you all soon.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions for Christy? Thank you very much. Eddie Isom is our Chief Operating Officer, our Director of Programming, and Jack of all trades. Eddie will be giving you an update on radio and TV programming, as well as our video production department. By the time the next meeting rolls around, that report will be given by our new Director of Video Production, who joins us in a month. So, Eddie, if you would.
All right, so there really isn't anything big coming up in programming per se. On Being with Krista Tippett, it will be going away in June. She's already announced on the air it's going to become a podcast only. And what we're going to do is do a repeat on Sunday morning of People's Pharmacy. It's a real popular show here in West Virginia. It gets a lot of feedback and a lot of love during pledge drives. So we think, adding another chance for some people who may not have ever found that program on Sunday morning would be a good opportunity. In television, nothing really new coming up. We've been talking about it when the legislature rolls around again. Legislature today, we do plan to bring that back 5 nights a week, so in terms of local programming on television, also with video production. And video production this summer is finishing up our second 30-minute documentary on the Communities in Schools project, and it involves therapy dogs in school systems throughout the state. And I think there's actually a shoot tomorrow on that, as well as they're on the second leg of The Future Is You, which is a series with Emily Calandrelli talking about technology. And students who really don't have the option to go to college, and there are alternatives in the what we used to call trade schools whenever I was in school, those projects, and, really focused on technology. One thing, because Ted had asked me to talk about it, and this kind of leads into another thing about our digital transformation. Ted wanted me to talk a little bit about carriage. So everybody watches, this is specifically television, watches television in different ways. Some people pick us up off the antenna. If you pick us up off the antenna, you can pick up all 3 of our broadcasts. We have our main PBS broadcast. We have the West Virginia channel, which has a lot of archived documentaries, as well as live coverage from events at the Culture Center and the legislature. And then we have the PBS Kids 24/7. If you watch us on cable, you may or may not get those 3, depending on your cable system. So cable systems are governed by the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, and they determine that cable systems are only required to carry one of our channels, and that is the primary channel. We offer all of our stations free to all cable systems, and probably 75 to 80% of cable systems throughout West Virginia do carry all 3 at our request. You will find some outlying cable systems at the borders who do not, and they're not required to, and we can't change that. We can only encourage and offer. But when you move to the satellite systems, they work with this even less. As Ted was telling me, he just switched to a satellite service, and he can only get 1 of the channels now, and the FCC tells those satellite companies they only have to carry 1, and they will only carry 1. They don't work as closely with us as cable companies do, and this is the reason. Cable companies are still kind of, in a way, locally governed. Cable companies go to the local government, whether it be a city or a county commission, to get the charter to serve that community. So they're more willing to work, to serve the community and bring in a lot of different channels. So I want to switch that around. I'm trying to be really quick here. We're working with PBS Digital over the summer to begin bringing our local broadcast online to places like YouTube TV. We're getting the infrastructure in place at our Network Operations Center in Beckley, and we hope to have our local channel streaming very soon. Currently, if you subscribe to YouTube TV, you'll get a national PBS feed with our branding on it, because we asked them to do that while we got our infrastructure in place, rather than lose our place on the streaming service. The difference between streaming services that are doing live television and they are not governed by the FCC. So the streaming services actually determine what your local station is by your zip code. So in the panhandles, where we often fight with places like Pittsburgh in the northern panhandle, where they consider Morgantown part of the Pittsburgh DMA, so we're not required to be carried. In the eastern panhandle, where they consider that Washington, D.C., those will now automatically get our West Virginia channel. So that's an exciting thing coming up in terms of the future and broadcast through the other platforms. Anybody have any questions?
One of the reasons this question came up in my mind, we've been on Suddenlink. We have now gone to DirecTV. And I gather DirecTV is a pretty big outfit. I'm also on it in Virginia and so forth. But I can't get our Channel 5. I don't know if any of you all are in that same situation or not. But Channel 5 is an incredible station. And we ought to be sure everybody gets that opportunity. So as you work through that, any collectively can give.
Yeah.
To caller, but is this something that our senators could help?
Yeah, because the FCC is a federal agency that governs the airwaves. Like I said, they set the rules, and the cable companies and the satellite services follow those rules. So their only real change can come is if the rules are changed, and so our senators, just reaching out to them. Is a first step. We do offer everything to them for free. It's whether or not they want to carry it or whether they have the space to. It's really up to the server.
Let's develop a way to get to the senators. Governor, is that important?
Not on the FCC side.
Okay. Any questions of Eddie? Up to good work.
Thank you, Eddie. Adam Harris, there's all kinds of exciting things going on with Mountain Stage, and he's going to give you an earful. So, Adam?
Thanks, everybody, for your time, except Steve Hopta. Is he at the beach? I don't thank him.
I'm here. My time.
Hey, Steve. Enjoy your stay. Everything's great at Mountain Stage. We just announced 4 shows for this summer in August and September. That are on sale to our Mountain Stage members right now, and they'll go on sale to the public Friday morning. Some things we haven't announced yet, but we're working on is a September road show to Harrisonburg, Virginia, at the invite of JMU and their station there, WMRA. In October, we're going to be headed to Pittsburgh, Kansas, again at the invite of the station and the university there, to record the show. October, November, and in October, a show we haven't announced yet is going to be episode 1000, which is a big deal. We're going to announce that probably at the end of festival, so that we can market it and make a big deal out of that. And then in December, we've announced our first 39th anniversary show, which will be in Boston at the Berkeley Performance Center. And then we'll have another anniversary celebration at home at the Culture Center Theater on December 18th. And I can't announce the artist yet, but it's a really big deal, and I'm glad that they agreed to come do the show for us. And I didn't mention this earlier, but we'll have two Joy to the World performances in December as well, the 15th and the 16th of December. So everything's moving full speed ahead.
And
the
let's not forget about Vandalia.
That's right. On Friday, thank you. On Friday evening, Larry Gross, myself, and members of the Mountain Stage Band were on hand at the Vandalia Gathering to accept the 50th Vandalia Award, which is the state's highest folk life honor. bestowed on us by the curator, Randall Reed Smith. And so very much grateful to that, and it was an honor. You know, over 200 West Virginians have appeared on Mountain Stage over the years, including 17 of the past Vandalia winners. And so it's nice to have that acknowledged. Any recognition for Larry at this point, coming up on 40 years of something that nobody thought would last this long, that recognition is well overdue. And we share that award, that recognition, with everybody who works behind the scenes to make the show happen day in and day out. So a great honor, and thank you for that reminder.
How many stations?
Mountain Stage is on 280 stations right now. We did get an audience book not too long ago, but I haven't had time to summarize it yet, but I'll do that and send it out to the boards and to the leadership team as soon as I can.
Any questions? Thank you. Keep it up.
Hey, thank you.
By August will be 300.
Well,
That's your chapter.
That's up to NPR, yeah. Hopefully, if we just keep the programming good and the stations will keep picking it up.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, in the first visit, you had announced that Robert Plant was going to do a show.
Yeah.
And I can't remember, was that going to be in Morgantown or here?
That was going to be at the Clay Center. May 19th was the original date.
Yeah, so.
We put that show on sale, and 4 days later, we refunded all the tickets. And I hope he'll come back. I really do.
He's not your surprise guest?
He's not the surprise guest for December. No, ma'am. No, he is not. I wish he were. You know, Robert Plant wanted to do the show. He wasn't doing it for the money. After 2 years of no income, people are doing things for the money right now. He's got a new album out with Alison Krauss, which when you add that to the bill, it's a whole nother layer of financial commitments you need. I presume that in his deepest parts of his heart, he wants to do Mountain Stage still. And I know his agent is somebody we've worked with for many, many, many years, and I know they will reach out when the time is right to have him back. So that was the best show we ever announced.
Okay, well.
Thank you, Adam. Marilyn DeVita, give us a development update, please.
And I remember when Mountain Stage had 120 stations, and everyone was really excited.
The longest person in this crowd.
Well, maybe a bit of a historian. I remember they went from 109 to 120, and everyone was like, wow. And Adam and his team have the next generation. For as far as development and membership goes, we're seeing rising revenue in May. When you're looking at the foundation report, that's only through April. But when we get to the Friends meeting, we'll have revenue report through May that we'll be able to do. March and April were just weak, but I can tell you, looking at the numbers today, we made up the lost revenue and then $38,000 on top of that. So that's always a plus. Not that I watch the numbers, but Christy Morey and her addition has really made a difference, and I'm really excited about the opportunity of having a marketing person on, because it really makes development's job a little different and easier, but more focused. So it's great to have her be here and do that. And I'll tell you also, Kathleen Brady, who is our membership manager, she's been working closely with Christy, and I'm excited seeing the interaction between the two. They're both going to go to the PMDMC, thanks to the Friends, funding their training, and that's going to be something where they'll really see their intersection and be able to really build that team even more, and that's what we need. July 1st, we're going to begin a new year with different fundraising counsel. This is someone who has come in and done a consultancy with us before, and I'm very excited about her coming back. It's Becky Chen. I don't know that you all really remember her, but she did a thorough investigation of our station, and including what we write on the interstitials, the little messages between, and our marketing department, how all of those work together. And that's really kind of what we need. And she's a very good in the creativity department. Thanks to the focus on the website that Butch has given, Liz has done well with that, and we're seeing better opportunity not only with our underwriting. We've redone the underwriting the rate sheets and things like that, but also what we can, Kathleen's been working with her for the membership people. And we really hope to get that off the ground where we have that member portal. So you can go in and do your own stuff, change your own credit card number, things like that, and we won't have to have as much interaction with staff. We had the Friends elections ended at 11:59 p.m. last night. The nominating committee meets tomorrow, and we will be they'll be announcing the results and working to have that. We had some really close regions, I will tell you, separated by one vote. Right. So, and I've been kind of watching that, and it's traded back and forth several times. So, I cannot say. I don't even tell them specific regions. And maybe the next person will do it better, but I keep that stuff very close to my chest. It's amazing, the little tidbits that people want to know. So, but other than that, I really don't have anything else.
Any questions for Marilyn? Thank you so much, Marilyn.
Money roll.
Eric Douglas, our news director.
Wasn't sure if you would call me or Maggie.
Come up and have a seat.
So Tyler and I are dressed similarly today.
And the fact that we're both about 6'3", kind of, thank you all. My name is Eric Douglas, for those of you who don't remember me or don't recall. Lots of stuff going on in the news department. A couple personnel changes I wanted to mention. We actually lost 2 employees recently. One we knew about for a while. Rocky Todd moved on to a station, another public radio station in Virginia. In her place, though, we've already hired Bill Lynch, who will, I'm sure Butch will ask him to talk here in just a minute, to be the producer for Inside Appalachia. So we're really enthusiastic about Bill. Well, mostly enthusiastic about Bill. If you know him, you know. We're looking forward to what he can bring to the show. Also, June Leffler, who was our Appalachia Health News reporter, was only here for about a year and a half, but really did some tremendous work. We're really sorry to see her leave, but the upside for us and for her both, she has gone to work for 1A, the public broadcasting station, or the public broadcasting show that we air at 2 o'clock every Monday through Friday. So the fact that one of our reporters got poached for a national show, I think, speaks highly of the caliber of our people and the work that they're doing.
And the need for us to get salaries up.
Well, and if you and I'll have a talk. No, I'm sure you and Butch will have that talk. But no, I absolutely. If we can, and it's really interesting on social media right now. All of the other reporters who are announcing job changes and that sort of thing, as the pandemic is lifting and salaries, there's a greater demand for reporters. There's a whole bunch of people changing jobs right now. So I'd kind of like to fireproof the department to a degree, as much as that's possible. But we actually just found out last week we won 2 regional Murrow awards. If you recall, we won a couple regionals and 2 national Murrow awards last year. So we're up for 2 more. We've got 2 more regional awards, and both of those will move on to the nationals. Those are, we'll find that out in late July or early August if we've won a national award out of either of those. And later this month, June 22nd, I think, we'll find out if we won first place or second place
for the Colon the Way Forward series from PMJA, the Public Media Journalists Association. That's a national level award as well. So we're really rocking and rolling. It's been a good contest season. As far as just general reporting stuff going on, we like I said, we're unfortunately back down a human. I thought we were going to be back to full speed. We do have Caroline McGregor coming on as the new assistant news director. As I told everyone earlier, she's a really interesting character in that she was born in Ireland, raised in South Africa, and she's done consulate work, but she's also worked at public and commercial radio stations in the country. She should be here at the end of June, so we're really looking forward to getting her on board and having that South African accent on her air. I just find that intriguing. But looking forward to her. She was actually here in town for a couple of days last week, and everybody got to meet her, and I think really had a good reaction to her. And we're doing our best to keep covering the state. Any questions?
Thank you. Bill Lynch, if you would just come up for a quick second. Bill is the new producer for Inside Appalachia. But he's been around this organization for a long time, and I don't mind telling you, as we were hiring a marketing director, Bill threw his hat in the ring right at the last minute, and we had a great interview with him that day, that's the same day that we met Christy Morey, and Christy, we picked Christy, but I told Bill that day that, and I meant it, and I think maybe now he believes me, that he was vital to this organization, and that we were going to find a way. And, things just have a way of working out and have a way of happening. And I couldn't be more thrilled to have him being the new producer of Inside Appalachia. He's a breath of fresh air to it, and he's gonna take it to the next level. And I'm just real excited that worked out for Bill, and I hope that a year from now he looks back and said, well, I didn't get that marketing job, but I got this one, and it's the difference. So, Bill, if you would just like to say a few words and
Sure.
and talk to the folks.
Right. Like you said, I've been in public broadcasting for a long time, about 20 years. Mostly a little kind of buried in the background there. Most folks who've heard my voice have heard it on in the mornings from like around 9 to about noon, reading the ID and the weather. I also had a show, I guess, on the weekends called Lost Highways, which is a music show. But I've probably been better known for my work with the newspaper, where I've done arts and entertainment coverage. I have done culture coverage. I've done food, beer. I have run a column for the last 6 years and going, which has put me all over the place and done all kinds of things. And that's been a great ride. I have done amazing things and had a great life with it. When they mentioned that the idea that I was in the running for Inside Appalachia's producer, so are you interested? I said, yeah. I didn't ask any specifics. I said, yes. And now you're regret. Just yet. I've always believed in the show. I've been here. I didn't really realize it because I was talking to Mason, who was our host, and he's like, well, maybe you listened to it when you were a child. I'm like, Mason, you have no idea why. But the thing is, I was here when the show started 20 years ago, and didn't realize that it arrived not much longer after I got here, and the opportunity to add to that, to help grow it, and maybe my own little mark on it.
was irresistible. And it's a great show. It's something we've always been proud of. I want to add to it and get as many people as I humanly can listening to it. That's my pitch.
You've also seen this guy. Take Charleston Gazette. He's the crazy guy who's always this way or this way.
I bring a certain amount of that to this.
Captain America.
Where am I right now?
Are you going to still be at the Gazette?
A tiny bit, not so much. But, you know, I've got a lot to do with Inside Appalachia.
Any questions for Bill? Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. Maggie Hawley is our education director, and she's been very busy with her staff. Maggie?
Hello. Hi, everybody. Yes, we've been really busy since the last time we saw all of you. We wrapped up our annual writers contest. We were able to have an award ceremony, and we used the Culture Center, and all of the award winners and their families. We ended up having about 80 people, and we celebrated their writing, and we selected one winner and normally we turn one of the winners into an animated story, but this time we recorded a short film, and it was wonderful. And we had Eddie record in that. He was the host of a show, and it was a great experience. I think that we not only solidified her career in writing, but I think we gave her a very great introduction into film. We had a wonderful celebration, and a lot of the kids were saying they were going to turn in another selection for next year as well. So we had a great time with the writers contest. Me and my team, our calendars are just booking up. That has been our goal when we sat down and started planning for the summer and then for the rest of the year, is just getting ourselves out there. Because a lot of people don't know the education side. They know the radio and the TV side, but they don't know the education side. And so the more we put ourselves out there on social media and getting ourselves on the camera, then the more people are contacting us instead of us contacting them. And that's just what has been happening. Just yesterday, we got contacted from the reading conference that the teachers do, so we're going to go and present there. We're going to American Federation for Teachers, but Camp Dawson, and we're going to present them. So now we're getting into some bigger audiences, so we can, get in front of them and let them know what all we're doing. But then for some smaller audiences, we've been getting into classrooms. We're doing some summer camps, going to the libraries. We got another Inquire Within library out of Jackson County. We've been working on some grants, working with Americo, getting in some Head Start centers and some daycare. So our calendar is filling up really quickly. We're very excited. Questions?
Any questions for Maggie?
Talked very fast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Liz is not with us here today, but I would like to tell everyone that she's been aggressively working on our new website, and by the time we meet again in September, the hope is the new website is functional. If not, then shortly thereafter. But she's also in charge of our digital content. As we move forward, I did just attend the PBS General Managers meeting in Washington, D.C., and it's quite clear how viewing and listening habits are changing, and the way we present our digital content and the use of our website is going to be so critical to us in the future. So during our next meeting, Liz will have that update. One last thing I would like to take note of is Brian Gallagher is to my right, the chairman of the Friends Board, and the Friends have made a wonderful difference for me since I came on board October the 19th to know that we have their support and their financial backing in being able to train and develop and certify our staff and have that opportunity out there. I think it's very unique. A lot of state agencies don't have that opportunity, and for us to have the opportunity to get our folks out into that environment is a huge kudo for us, and we really want to thank the Friends and for their continued support of what we do here and our staff. So, as I think everyone can see, we have a very dynamic and exciting group of people here at West Virginia Public Broadcasting. Thank you.
Good. Butch? We have seen a very dynamic crowd of people. Thank you all. Welcome you. We stand here or sit here willing to do anything we can to help you. Brian in particular, there's no question, all of us need training and providing organization certainly can be praised.
Well, I think I speak for all the Friends that we feel that it's not fair. It's not a right thing to do to put people in a position to ask them to do a job and not give them what they need to do the job.
Very well said. I had one thought before we adjourned and then open the floor for anything. We sat there and had a very good lunch, and we threw probably a ton of plastic into a big waste basket. The city is starting, I saw in the paper this morning. Can we suggest that you all look into being a leader of recycling for?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Are there any other questions of anybody, staff, members? Any of you all who have been patient at home drinking your coffee?
I do appreciate the opportunity to join with you today, Steve Hopta, and look forward to meeting the new hires.
Well, we hope that it wasn't quite as satisfactory for you as it was for us, and that you all will really put us down. We'll pick up on the suggestion of trying to do a little jiggling of our meetings so it's not duplicative for the staff. But having sat through many EBA meetings, I think ours are a lot more fun. So I suggest to the EBA that they look to making their program enough to attract us. Marlon, Pete's retired, which one would hope would give him more time to spend with us, but he keeps talking about challenging us, Barbara, to find a replacement. Barbara reports to me she hasn't been successful, so we're still on board.
I'm doubling my fee.
Well, listen, all of your advice got us a 16% reduction in that which we would have to tap to pay you. So forget it.
It's a dirty job. That's what I'm here for.
Anything more for the good of the order? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.